Hey folks, this is Kalani. Now, Blizzard has gone and done something a little strange, a little interesting, so I'm here to give my thoughts on exactly what this might mean and to obviously tell you what has happened if you haven't heard wind of it yet. There is going to be an item change overhaul for Blackrock Foundry gear. So I'll give you the blue post, the official post. We are preparing to deploy a hotfix next week that will increase the item level of all raid drops from all difficulties of the Blackrock Foundry raid. The main purpose of this change is to ensure that killing new bosses in the Blackrock Foundry raid feels appropriately rewarding. We are finding that groups coming out of a couple months of high mall could often have an average item level that was just barely shy of the loot dropped by the appropriate difficulty in Foundry. A core part of the experience of progressing through a new raid tier lies in the sense that even if you didn't manage to kill a particular boss this week, the upgrades your raid group gathered along the way will make things smoother and improve your chances the following week. This change will be retroactive, affecting existing items that players may have in their possession. Thus, instead of an item level range of 650, 665, 680 and 695 for Raid Finder, Normal, Heroic and Mythic Foundry, the loot awarded will now be item level 655, 670, 685 and 700 respectively. At the same time, we will be increasing the item level of the new highest tier crafted and Apex's vendor items by 5 in order to keep their power unchanged relative to the Foundry raid itemization. So, basically, everything is going to go up by 5 item levels. That means if you're in full Blackrock Foundry gear, you now have more item levels. You will go up 5 item levels, which sounds dandy. It's a brilliant way to cross the gap, I guess, between High Mall and Blackrock Foundry, or rather, push that gap even wider, because there used to be items you could use from High Mall Mythic, which could help you with Mythic Blackrock Foundry. That's not really going to be the case anymore, but I feel as though this was an okay change. There's quite a few positive and negative things this does. So, positive, if you've been raiding High Mall at all, you probably dabbled in Mythic. Even if you didn't, you probably have a few Mythic pieces from your Heroic caches from your follower missions. That means you have a few pieces of gear which probably won't be replaced in Heroic Blackrock Foundry, some pieces of gear from the previous tier which will not be replaced by the next tier. Now, just to be clear, they are calling Blackrock Foundry the next tier, which is kind of confusing because they were supposed to be the same tier, but apparently Blizzard is now kind of recognizing them rather as distinct tiers, which is strange in and of itself. But never mind. I mean, you still have to go, arguably, into normal High Mall to better your chances in normal Blackrock, but if you go straight into normal Blackrock, you wouldn't really ever have to go back to High Mall, meaning the gear treadmill from High Mall to Blackrock Foundry potentially dissolves, and you could go into Blackrock Foundry more or less straight away and never touch High Mall again. So, It's kind of interesting. They're bringing everything up to be on par with what High Mall could provide otherwise, meaning you really don't have to go back to High Mall Mythic. If you went to High Mall Mythic, you could get 685s. Now, they were some very useful actually, some best in slot, but I feel pushing Mythic Blackrock Foundry into 700 completely removes most of those items. There's still going to be 1 or 2 niche items, specifically trinkets, but for example, the Butcher trinket for agility and multi-strike is incredibly useful. It was going to be incredibly useful going into Mythic Blackrock Foundry, but I feel as though now a Heroic Beating Heart of the Mountain may outdo it, simply because of the bloated, I guess, stat allocation and stat budget, which that's now going to have due to those 5 extra item levels. I don't honestly think I'll be going back to High Mall Mythic. We actually planned in our guild to go back to High Mall Mythic to get a few more pieces to try Mythic Blackrock Foundry, and I don't think that's going to be a thing anymore because we basically just got free High Mall Mythic gear with this hotfix. which is kind of strange. But that does mean that if you're coming into Blackrock Foundry Heroic with a few mythic pieces, you're going to be able to sidegrade them for your chosen stats if that's something which can happen. For example, if you've got a 685 item with Haste Mastery, but you'd actually prefer Crit Multi-Strike, you can do that now and not lose out on your primary stat, which I think is very good indeed. But going forward, this also means that Blackrock Foundry is tuned for item levels 5 below what it drops, meaning that Blackrock Foundry across the board has actually been nerfed. You're going to get more power appropriate to the difficulty than before, which is kind of a really roundabout way of nerfing Blackrock Foundry without actually touching Blackrock Foundry. Instead, you just kind of increase the power creep, which, as I say, is a very roundabout way of doing it, but essentially this should make some of your fights easier. You're going to have those 5 extra item levels of stat weight and budget to help you push bosses. I know we were having a little bit of difficulty with Heroic Blackhand. With everybody 5 item levels higher, I see that being a lot easier. And bosses where we perhaps wiped once or twice on, I really don't think we're ever going to have a problem. It's kind of a crazy change, especially when some of the trinkets from Blackrock Foundry are incredibly powerful, but then going up to item level 700 for Mythic Blackrock Foundry is kind of crazy. We're starting to get those caches. If you're not getting those caches, maybe a little bit behind, but I mean, I have 2 and I haven't even set foot in Mythic Blackrock Foundry. A few weeks, a few months later, and I'm hopefully going to have more or less full Mythic Blackrock Foundry gear. 700 item level. We're already at a point where I feel the next expansion is going to get to the ludicrous numbers again, and they're going to have to do a squish. But this is just kind of leaps and bounds. But the most worrying thing about this, I think, is that this is coming at quite a late date. Previously, Blizzard said that these weren't separate tiers and that they were one and the same, and that you should potentially go from one to the other if you want to gear efficiently. Or if you want to gear up alts, maybe you can skip ahead a bit, but you can dip back and forth because there will be some items in Highmaul Mythic which you can't get in Blackrock Foundry Heroic, and that small power creep can help you down some bosses in Blackrock Mythic. And then they've kind of gone ahead and completely twisted that around. But the change says to me that Blizzard seems to lack foresight. This shouldn't be required. This should not really have been a change, and I don't understand why it's coming about now. But I'm not really going to complain because I just got 5 item levels for free, and we'll probably get Heroic Blackhand and poke into Mythic Blackrock Foundry because we have no reason to go back to Mythic Highmaul. Maybe that's a good thing, maybe it's not. I'm not entirely sure thus far, but it's nice not to have to go back to Highmaul to get some items which we potentially might have had to farm for quite a bit because of their best in slot status. So, I don't know, passes will tell for those specific trinkets, but right now I'm feeling as if Highmaul has literally just been swept under the rug and cast aside. Blackrock Foundry is where it's at, but for all you people who don't really care what this means, you just got 5 item levels for free. So that's all I wanted to really discuss in this video. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I'll have a good natter down there. If you're ever interested in seeing me live stream, I'm over at twitch.tv/KalaniScar. Remember to leave a like just below the video before you leave, and if you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. But apart from that, thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always, I will see you next time.